Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's Village Board meeting. I ask that you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. Cassie, could we have roll call, please?
Sure. Trustee Belt? Here. Trustee Krasovich is excused. Trustee Roberts?
Here.
Trustee Grabowski?
Here.
Trustee Gergen? Here. Trustee Rhodey?
Here.
President Knutson?
Here. Item 2, we have no public hearings this evening. Item 3, approval of the regular Village Board meeting dated December 5th, 2023. I hope everyone's had a chance to look it over. Are there any questions, comments, or corrections as to the way it is presented this evening? If not, I'll look for a motion to approve as presented.
Make a motion to approve the regular Village Board meeting minutes of December 5th as presented.
Second, Rhodey.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Minutes are hereby approved. Item 4, citizens' comments. This is an opportunity for citizens to share their opinions with board members on any topic they choose. However, due to Wisconsin open meeting laws, the board is not able to answer questions or to respond to your comments. All comments should be directed to the board. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Speakers are asked to please use the podium and state their name and address for the record. Is there anyone here that would like to make a comment this evening? Yes, sir.
Oliver, 327 Lookout Drive. First of all, I'd like to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I'm not too happy with the lakefront. From what I can gather, I think there was a new pier this year. And the least we could do when we spent the money we spent on a village garage down here, at least stack it up and make it look presentable. It looks like some bunch of 2-year-olds decided to remove the pier and just push it somewhere out of the sight, and it makes the village look like crap. And, you know, it's very unbeknown. I heard it through the grapevine that we have a new DPW supervisor or a head man. It's very unbecoming that you got to find this out through the grapevine somewhere. It can't be publicized that we have a new man in charge. We went how many months without anybody in charge down there? And the least you could do is we send out the water bills every month. One sheet of paper. What's going on in the village? All you people supposedly know what's going on. Nobody else, any taxpayer has no idea of what is going on in this village, unless you read it or hear it through the grapevine somewhere down the line. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to make a comment at this time?
No. Good evening. Good to see everybody. Tom Calder, 504 High Street. Been a while. So, wanted to come down. I got a phone call, a bunch of emails on my chain, and they said, "Did you see your tax bill?" And I said, "No, I haven't seen it yet." Well, I got it the next day. And first of all, my tax bill shows I've got a tax decrease here in the village. And again, that leads to a lot of smoke. And again, you know, with what's going on with the fire, that's a lot of smoke. So I show a 16% decrease in my tax bill. But when we start adding up fees, my tax bill went up 5.3% over last year. Okay? So you're taking up fees here tonight. I would ask you to seriously think hard about raising any fees. Yeah, you take that $241, you add that in to my tax bill, my village tax bill, Okay, my overall bill went down courtesy of the school district, okay? And then I pay $30 to dump the dump site. I pay a transportation utility tax on my tax bill. And yet, I believe, I need to consult now with my tax professional because I don't know if that $241 is going to be deductible from my income tax. And I see Kelly shaking her head. So that's going to be another hit because I do itemize. And there's a lot of people that do itemize. And you look at some of the values of some of the properties in this community, that's a lot of money, especially those on the lake. And I live in a modest property now in the village. So I would ask you to think long and hard. 5 years ago, I was sitting where you were sitting. We went into a flat yearly fee for fire. Flat yearly fee. It was great. I remember one of your counterparts saying, this is great. 2% increase. Lasted 5 years. The first contract that I was under lasted 13 years. Okay? But at $7,000 a call, it was killing this community. Killing this community. Okay? Now we're going to charge a fee for that. Now, I don't know what options you looked at before you ventured into this new contract. I hope you did. If not, you need to look long and hard. Run some numbers. Okay? EMS is predominantly a fee-based service already in this community. Okay? We don't recover all that money. I'm well aware of that. I think you are too. We even had a conversation that maybe when we were paying $7,000 for a fire call, that we should just bill for that service. We were thinking outside of the box. Somehow you got to do that. I challenge this board to do that. This fire fee, the fire services, which are fine, very fine fire and EMS services. I witnessed it 2 doors down from me on Sunday morning in my neighborhood. Okay? First people on the call were our PD, followed by an ambulance a few minutes later, followed by a fire engine. No issue with service. But this is actually costing this community a lot of money. Are we getting our bang for the buck? Look at alternatives. Before you do a fee of any type, the state has tied your hands with levy limits. I'm well aware of that. But you have the tool of a referendum. You have the tool to let the voters voice whether they want to exceed that levy limit. The school district does that. It's right here on your tax bill. Right here. What that's going to cost to 2038. And then when you do that in a fall election when you have a higher turnout. Okay? But this is getting to be very costly. And then you hear that they're talking about the number of calls. It comes back to development in this community. And you look at these fees, is that business friendly? To be hitting these people with fees? Jeff, talk to your friend, the developer. I'm wondering what he's thinking. Hopefully his tax bill went down, but now if he adds that in there, maybe it's like mine, it may have exceeded that. Okay? This is smoke and mirrors. Find a better way to provide these services at a much more reasonable cost if it can be done. Find something to get this monkey off of our back. What alternatives did you have? I don't know. You need to look at that. And don't say, no, there aren't any other alternatives. Look at it. Privatization. Something needs to be done. Again, what's also scary on here is our assessment ratios down. So I'm wondering what next year we're going to be looking at, or if we're up for a village-wide reassessment. We're down to 0.82, almost 0.83. Again, what fee are we going to have next? Am I going to have a toll booth at the end of the road? Maybe that's a fair way to do it. You heard me advocate when I was on here that we should look at a 0.25% sales tax. All of these people that are coming into this village, using our retail, using our services, let them pay for our streets and our roads and our fire and our EMS and our police. I go to Walmart and I see 2 dedicated spots for PD. That's troublesome. That is troublesome. It tells me that that's a lot of cost to this community. Are we going to have another police fee on here pretty soon. And believe me, we've got a fine fire department, and I want you to maintain our own fire department, or our own police department, because at least we got control. Again, let's get on the bus of the city's fire department. Do you have any say, any representation? Is there anybody here tonight from the fire department? 33%. Inflation has been 5 to 7%, and in 1 year it goes up 33%. I challenge you to find something else. Find some alternatives. Find a way that we can find a better way to raise revenue, whether that's taking it to the voters. Do it that way. Thank you very much. Good evening. Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to make a comment?
Jeff, could I just
No, we
make
can't.
a comment for the folks who may be viewing at home, that all past meetings are available online for viewing if they would ever like to see what has been discussed on previous topics.
Okay, then we're going to move on to item 5, ordinances. Possible action on ordinance 2023-25, an ordinance to amend current fee schedule for the clerk and police department. This is coming back. We had it sent to staff to look at some variables. And are there any other questions, comments as it relates to this particular topic? Does anybody have any questions for staff or?
Well, based on your research, I see here that for the public space, for the parking spaces, for the street dining, that Wauwatosa charges the same fee as our current amount. Did you have any other?
Yeah, Wisconsin Dells, they do $5 a square foot.
So what would that come out to?
Yeah, our chocolate factory has 525 square feet. At $5 a square foot, that would be $2,625. Their current fee is $225. The smallest space is Brewers 2 at 245 square feet. Their current fee is $75. At $5, would be $1,225 per fee.
It seems to me like those types of fees, like the 225 or the small one of 75, should be monthly fees. I think for an entire summer, that is a very low fee. There must be some place between what the Dells is charging and what Tosa is charging for us to do, but get a little bit more out of those spaces. I realize that those businesses do most of their business during the summer, but I also think that those are public parking spaces, and that $225 for an entire summer is a steal.
Any other questions or comments?
I would
Jim?
caution against following anything of Wisconsin Dells, just because I don't see us ever putting ourselves in the same discussion for a downtown district as one of the top tourist destinations in the state. So obviously I would expect to see a much larger charge in the Wisconsin Dells. Seeing that Wauwatosa is the same as us, I would also be curious on what, like downtown Milwaukee is. I'm guessing they fall somewhere in between the two. I don't know. I see businesses taking this extension in order to increase vibrancy downtown, to entice people to come to Pewaukee from surrounding areas or residents. For the minimum amount of space that's being taken up, I don't feel comfortable with it. I go anywhere near the Wisconsin Dells $5 a square foot. We don't have any that fall in the $75 range, right? Or what's Brewers 2 again?
Brewers 2, $75.
That's not even a parking spot. That's a parkway. They took a median spot. They took median. So, I mean, if we were to increase anything, I would only be at the very, very minimum of an increase. At least that's the way I see it. Sacrificing a total of, I think, 9 parking spaces total. And I get that this is a precedence or a fee that we're setting that, you know, has the ability to grow with other businesses that may want to take advantage of it. But there's no way I could justify, you know, the rent down there is already high. We only have 4 months for them to capitalize on true businesses. And don't get me wrong, I would love to figure out a way to turn it into a year round. But yeah, that's my feeling on it. And we can't rush into just jacking this fee up and penalizing our downtown businesses.
Yes, Kelly.
I'm in agreement. I don't want to see a huge fee increase. I think this is something that we all enjoy. I think those parking spaces also being utilized for people versus cars makes the lakefront look nicer and is more aesthetically when you're actually, if those are now parking spaces again, you sit in those restaurants, you can't even see the lake. So it lessens the attraction to what is downtown. So I think it is a great attraction to get people into downtown either. And I don't want to see the fees jacked on this either. I think we all utilize it. Those spaces, walk down there in spring, summer, and fall, and it's packed in those areas. So people obviously like it. So I think I would like to. I don't want to see the prices get jacked up that much.
Any other comments or questions? Well, I'll look for a motion then if there are no more discussion.
In the packet we have no change to that fee, correct? Did we just do the exploratory?
Right.
Okay.
It was just up for discussion.
Someone like to make a motion as it relates to ordinance 2023-25?
So were we going to do anything with special events? Because that was another thing, right? That you had done some research on?
Yeah, so I think we had it in here for,
$200?
yeah, $300, only if there's a road closure though.
Which is about the average cost. Okay, I will make a motion to pass ordinance 2023-25 to amend current fee schedule for the clerk and police department
As presented.
as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Are there any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinance 2023-25 is hereby adopted. Item 6, resolutions, we have none. Item 7, under old business, schedule the strategic planning meetings for 2024. Scott, you want to handle this, or Craig?
Well, I put it on, just not knowing if we wanted to have one strategic planning session before.
I
Trustee
appreciate
Roberts.
you bringing this on as a discussion point. However, we need to move forward in doing the citizen survey yet. And until we have that done, I'm not sure scheduling extra meetings would be productive. But once we have that, then I think we're going to need to schedule several of them to start building out what those key strategies and things are going to be. So I would say let's not do it yet, but month or two, we'll probably have a better idea of timing.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, just didn't want to lose sight of anything.
No, I appreciate that. I really do. Thank you.
Okay. Is everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Okay, then we're going to move on to item 8, it's under new business. Discussion and direction, possible action regarding aquatic plan harvesting equipment review. Mark, would it be okay if I put A and B together so we can overlap? Okay, well, also discussion and possible action regarding repairs for the 2004 weed harvester. So we'll discuss both of those.
Okay. Well, first, introductions for all board members, because I believe some of you have met, but not all. Dave Beagle, our new Director of Public Works Engineer, is with us this evening.
Hello.
So, if you want-
Paul, Dave, Paul.
Gentlemen in white.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were wondering, there he is.
So Pewaukee native resident, so familiar with the area. So Dave J. Bickler, our Public Works Operations Supervisor, and myself had a meeting down at Aquarius Systems early December and late, yeah, I think it was early December. And Chad Lease is here from Aquarius Systems, is one of the people that Jay's been talking to about our current inventory of equipment and the needs for the various pieces that we have, which brings us to where we are this evening to review that with the board tonight. Our 2004 harvester, our oldest harvester, is in good shape overall. Is in need of some refurbishment, around $33,000 worth. But Chad and his staff took a look at our 2009 harvester and our transport barge. The 09 harvester we bought new. The transport barge we bought used from Lake Pewaukee Sanitary District. After looking at those two pieces of equipment, their recommendation is to not invest any more money in it, but to look at purchasing a new harvester, of which that information is included in your staff memo, 2020, or an increase in the size to the 420 from the current size of the 220, which brings increased capacity for storage of weeds. Also looking at a different propulsion system, going to 2 propeller motors, which we gain a little bit more speed, going from 3.5 miles an hour to 5 miles an hour. So, and easier to use in windier or wavier conditions, because it would also come with spuds that you can anchor down in the ground to station the harvester in place, allowing crew to get off and load weeds. There is a grant opportunity, Waterways Commission, which we used to purchase the 04 and the 09 harvesters. However, when we met with Chad and Nick, coworker of Chad's, indicated that the Waterways Commission is out of grant funding at this point for the current state budget cycle. So they will get new funding available July 1. Understanding that, they've proposed purchase agreements for board consideration to consider moving forward with the purchase, understanding that if we do not get the grants, that there's no commitment to the purchase of the new harvester. The grant would provide for up to 50% of state funding, so it would reduce by half the cost of the new harvester. And I think the 04 piece of equipment, and that's something we need to get repaired, to get, I don't know if it's an immediate need, but recommended need. Is that correct, Chad? And that's something that they believe they would be able to get done over the winter months, so that we would have it back in service by the time we put the equipment in the lake, which is by Memorial Day, if I remember correctly. So, I guess, high level, budget-wise, we did budget for $110,000 for the refurbishment of the 04. We now have a better picture that we don't need all that money. There's $115,000 in the budget for next year for the refurbishment of the 09, which we know we need more than that, but with the grant application, if we're successful with that, and we have been successful in the past, Pewaukee is a high priority lake. I think that bodes in favor of a grant application. We would have sufficient funds to move forward with the purchase of the new harvester, as well as the refurbishment of the existing, and also accounting for trade-in value of some nominal amount for the 09 and the transport barge.
Which fund were these budgeted in? The
General fund.
Okay, and so some of the other ones, are they going to be targeted by the infrastructure fund? Or that's the forklift?
That's the forklift,
Okay,
yes.
So these are all within the general fund?
Correct.
Okay,
So
so
we're paying cash.
We're not going to include that as part of our debt issuance or anything?
Correct. These would be cash payments.
Okay.
So Chad is here with any questions on the technical side of the equipment, and certainly Dave and Jay. Jay's got past experience with the operation of the harvesting, and Dave's getting some baptism by fire on weed harvesting.
Any idea why the 2009 one went bad faster than the older 2004 one?
And that I'll turn over to Jay or Chad. I don't know.
That one's just used way a lot more. The weed cutter, there's just a certain time frame that we can use that for cutting. The weed harvester is out every day.
The numbers make sense. We already had it budgeted. As much as I would love to just put that money back in our pocket, it actually, I mean, it's so $80,000 or $75,000 less than the 04 than what we budgeted. And then if we have the grant plus what we budgeted for next year with the 09, we even come out ahead.
All right.
So, I mean, it just seems like a no-brainer. Obviously, the lake's the beating heart of this community. So there's sometimes we have to bite the bullet, but this is even an easier bullet to swallow. So, I mean, it makes sense if we're going to get a better product and coming under budget.
Bob?
Well, I support the purchase of this equipment. The biggest concern I have is that this is somewhat of a Band-Aid over a problem that requires a more strategic and long-term solution. Do I have that solution? No, I don't. But it's something that we need to do, because essentially what we're doing is the same thing we've always done. Okay, we're going to have some improved equipment, more productive equipment, but it's just a Band-Aid right now. Okay, there needs to be a more long-term strategic approach on how we want to handle the whole lake and the weed removal.
If you want to take up the argument on the 4D use, I'll back you on it, but good luck getting that through the community.
Understand that. Understand it. Yeah, no, I understand it. Yeah.
Are there any other questions or comments?
One
Oh,
point
yes,
on
go
the-
ahead, I'm sorry.
On the efficiency, with the new equipment and having the ability, the spuds, we do have the ability to go down to a 2-man crew versus what we've been doing with 3, because you can lock the equipment in place. So it does, well, not significantly, it does provide a little bit of flexibility on staffing if we don't get to that ideal number. And there is training as part of the purchase from Aquarius, and we've talked to Tom Kepp, and he's offered to come over and assist as well with training crew, and I know Jay is open to that,
What
so.
I'm hearing, Scott, is that now we can get to that number and have double the staff out there with 2 vessels. That's what I'm hearing. So,
And we can move the one piece of equipment faster across the lake.
correct.
Any other comments? I'd just like to say, I think it's a great idea that we do this. I would like to see us move forward with the purchase of the equipment, or to at least agree to purchase the equipment. Is there any, because we can't use the other harvester, is there anything we can do as far as renting something for the summer, or?
Well, excellent question, and Aquarius, as part of the purchase agreement on the new harvester, it would be providing us a loaner harvester at no cost. We would only need to go pick it up, which we have the equipment to trailer it back, and we would have to put it on our insurance. So that was a kind offering on their part, because otherwise, yes, we would need to be looking for that option, and I think they have equipment in stock that they'd be willing to work with us on that.
Kind of big win for this village then.
So then we need a motion for the purchase of the new weed harvester and the repairs of the old weed
Correct.
harvester.
And then subsequent.
Separately?
They're on separately, so separate, and then we would be coming back in January we'd work with Chad and his staff to come back with that grant application for board review and approval in January. Their next cycle is due by February 1st. Their recommendation was to get in on that cycle, so we're in queue ready when the funding becomes available July 1. So that would be step 2 of if the board moves forward with the purchase agreements tonight.
Okay. Well, I'll make the first
Well, real quick, do we need to stipulate the approval of the purchase of the equipment dependent on the grant, or is that just included in the?
That's written into the purchase agreement. I guess the question, though, good points, and sorry to sidetrack, with the refurbishment of the existing, it's written into the purchase agreement contingent on the grant award, but I think that's also something that we would want to consider doing anyway if we're not successful with the grant award. But, so just to put that out there is something that we may need to consider, worst case, for both of these items at a later date, once we know on the grant.
Okay.
Excuse me.
So I'll make a motion for the purchase of the weed harvester as presented, and we'll apply for the grant in the future.
Yeah, the purchase agreement incorporates applying for the grant, but we need to bring that resolution back for specific board action.
Okay.
And for the refurbishment of the.
But I have to do that one separate, because it's a separate item.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion as it relates to the motion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is hereby carried. Do I have the second motion?
I'll make a motion to repair our 2004 weed harvester at an estimated cost of $33,000.
Second it.
Again, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is again hereby adopted. Item C, discussion of possible action forklift purchase for Public Works Facility. Scott, would you like to take this one again?
Sure, I'll start it off, and then if there's any technical questions, I'll turn it over to Jay. Jay pulled together the research, which is the options you have outlined in the staff report. Essentially, both forklifts, same piece of equipment, just different number of hours. Recommendation from the staff that would be utilizing the equipment is to go with the forklift that has the lower number of hours. And we went to, this is out of Heartland for where the equipment is at.
I was just gonna make a motion to approve the purchase of the one with 3,800 hours, because I feel like it's a little open and shut on this one. We already took away 30,000 for a new car out of the budget. So this is for a third less hours for $1,000. Make a motion to approve that purchase.
I'll second that, but I also want to say I did a tour last week of the DPW facility, and they really do need a forklift in order to lift things up to the second floor in order to store stuff there.
And you seconded, right? Okay, we have a motion and a second. Are there any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion again is hereby carried. Possible action on appointment of election inspectors for the 2024-2025 election cycle. Cassie, I would imagine this goes to you?
Sure. Every 2 years during the election cycle, we have to approve the people that want to work. So, we have the list is in there. Oh, it's not showing up on here. But you'll see the party's designation, Democrat and Republican, and then who wants to work as an SVD or designated by the party to work as an SVD. So with that being said, if you want to approve them.
Do have
Yes.
one question. So, I mean, I don't have anything against it, but I was required to recuse myself from my election when I was a candidate, when I was on the board of canvassers, when that was a thing. Nothing personal, Kelly, but
No, I can't work the election regardless. I can't
I
work.
was gonna say, if this is just November elections or whatever, but I didn't.
For all of them.
Yeah. Just because I'm on the list doesn't mean that I automatically get to work. I still can't work it.
That was just because, like I said, I know I had to step down.
You can work the presidential, but not the,
Yeah, if any of us are on the ballot, we can't work
Okay.
the election. Yeah.
Then, yeah, there's no issue.
any other questions or comments? Do I have a motion then?
I'll make a motion to approve the appointment of the election inspections for the 24-25 election cycle as presented.
Second, Rhodey.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is hereby carried. Discussion and possible action regarding canceling the January 2nd, 2024 meeting. Scott, you wanna, I know in past years we've canceled it due to the lack of anything really important that needed to be handled at that time, so.
Correct, and from an hour standpoint, with the office being closed 3 out of 5 days next week with the holidays, I don't, at this point, foresee anything with regard to the resolutions that were referenced earlier for the grant application. We would certainly have time to pull those together for the second meeting in January.
Make a motion to cancel it.
Second, Rhodey.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Comments? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion again is hereby carried. Village Board meeting monthly approval, I'm
Real
sorry.
quick, DPW meeting for that same day, also canceled then?
We can look at rescheduling it. Second and third Tuesdays weren't good for what appeared to be the majority, so we can certainly pull to see if we can move to February.
Okay. Village Board meeting monthly approval of checks invoices for all funds, November 2023. I will look for a motion to approve all funds as listed except for the library fund.
Motion to approve funds is listed.
Second, Rhodey.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. I'll look for a motion to acknowledge the library funds.
Motion to acknowledge the library fund.
Second, Grabowski.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is again carried. Number 9, citizen comments. This is an opportunity for citizens to share their opinions with board members on any topic they choose. However, due to Wisconsin open meeting laws, the board is not able to answer questions or respond to your comments. All comments should be directed to the board. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Speakers are asked to please use the podium and state their name and address for the record. Is there anybody here that would like to make a comment?
I'll start over again.
Okay. Thank you, Paul.
Oliver, 327 Lookout Drive. From all the herd, the scuttlebutt I've heard, and welcome to the village, I've heard very good compliments on both people. The only thing is, it would be nice if we knew this a little bit ahead of time, rather than finding it out somewhere down the road. You know all this ahead of time. Taxpayers should be aware of what's going on too. And getting back to the harvesting equipment, I was on the board when we bought that. And to my recognition, I don't think it's ever hit the water here in the village of Pewaukee. To me, I'm not a weed person. It's up to these people here to make the decision of what they're gonna do. But if you're cutting weeds on Park Avenue, this barge, the weed transport will move across the lake 3 times as fast as a weed cutter will. Now you're paying the person to run the weed cutter. Now while he's cutting whatever he can cut on Park Avenue, now he puts across the lake to empty the cutter. This is why I thought we bought this, to eliminate that problem, you know, so while he's going over there to dump the weeds off the transporter, they can still be cutting. All the time he's putting across the lake, enjoying the nice views and everything else, he's not cutting any weeds. So unfortunately, it's up to these gentlemen to make a decision of how they're gonna run it. And I'm hoping they'll be here for many years down the road, not that we run into the same problem we've had here in the last 6 months or so, a year. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Tom?
Oh, yeah. Hey, Jeff.
Hi.
Did you know I wanted to still make
Huh?
some comments? Did you just figure I wanted to make some more?
Yeah, I figured you'd want to say something.
Tom Kohler, 504 High Street. Sounds like somebody's got a new task to get out on the website, give a new name and an email to our Public Works Director. After I hear about the importance of the downtown and the lakefront, I would say somebody's got to step up here real quick. You've got dock that's laying against the beach. You had a comment earlier. Ice can heave. It can damage that. And I think those docks are very important to the lakefront, to the businesses. And I'm hoping they can get out of there. Get those out of there. They really need to come out. We got them for almost next to nothing, if I remember correctly. So let's hopefully get that taken care of. Switching gears again. Fire fees. $241 this year. What's it going to be next year? Hopefully less. I think it's a possibility. Hopefully less. I also think of the last time we did this, we spent money on a very expensive audit of the old contract. And some of you had access to see that. I've always had concerns. Trust but verify. Okay? You got to spend our money wisely. You need to make sure we're getting what we're paying for. Okay? Maybe there should be an audit on the last 5 years. Were we properly charged? Okay? Tax exempt properties, I read in the Freeman. I don't believe everything I read in here. Okay? 1/3 of the properties in the village are tax exempt. I find that hard to believe. Maybe geographically, WCTC, the school district, got 4 religious churches, Methodist Church, I think we got some members here. If they're going to be charged a fee, those members and parishioners are probably going to end up indirectly paying that fee. Okay? And yeah, church isn't a business, a religious organization isn't a business, but they bring a lot to the community. We've got 2 cemeteries too. We know they don't pay taxes. I don't think dead people, once they're in the ground, we hope it's over. We also have a major property out on Ryan Road that pays a payment to the village, used to, I'm not up to date on this, payment in lieu of taxes, which was everything short of the school tax. I hope, if that's still the situation, after they see what they're going to have to pay under this fire fee, okay, that they'll continue to pay that. And that was to cover police and fire, streets, things of that sort. I would ask you to talk to staff and maybe find out and verify that. I see that we've got a big development there across from Walmart. I wonder if that ever would have happened with this fee scenario. Fortunately, Capri didn't come into this community, but they probably would be looking at quite a large fee as well. Is this business friendly, commercial friendly, development friendly? The last thing I would say, you talk about a strategic plan, you look at the zoning, some of you are on the plan commission. You need to really look specifically at PUDs. Make a good conscious decision. Is this going to be a drain on our public works? Fire, PD, okay? Tax impact analysis, we tried that. A lot of communities do that. That should be done. It's a great way to make decisions. If it doesn't fit the master plan, the staff and the planner and the plan commission should really say, hey, does this make sense? Okay? You got to be choosy. Our open space is going quickly, very quickly. You need to be choosy. I look at what had been developed, what had been proposed for this community over the last 20 years. Some of those things never happened. What we got was better. On the lakefront with the condos, Jeff, that was a lot better than what we had approved twice before. And believe me, I'm glad Capri isn't here. Everybody knew how I felt about that. And this community felt. And now we got River Hills, single family homes, it sounds like. single-family homes. That's what we need. Less demand on public services. Good night. Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to make a comment at this time? If not, we're going to go into closed session. The Village Board of the Village of Pewaukee will enter into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute 1985 1E for the purpose of deliberating or negotiating or the purchasing of public property, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session, specifically regarding Kopmeyer Lake Drive access easement, and pursuant to Wisconsin statute section 1985 1C to consider employment promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility specifically regarding the village administrator. I will look for a motion to go into closed session, please.
Motion to move into closed session?
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Belt?
Yes.
Trustee Roberts?
Yes.
Trustee Grabowski?
Yes.
Trustee Gergen?
Yes.
Trustee Rhodey?
Yep.
President Knutson?
Yes. Are we all set? Okay, we're back in open session. Item 12 is adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second, Roberts.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are closed. Thank you, everyone. I hope everyone has a very